Jeannie, presenter rights to shadow me, please. A very good morning to our MIIM members and good afternoon to our participants joining from India. Thank you for joining us today for this important and relevant webinar from Waste to Worth, Creating a Circular Economy, being organized under the Make in India Mittelstand program in association with our partners Invest India and Rödl & Partner, as well as German RedTech Partnership. Rödl & Partner is a knowledge partner for the MIIM program, and I'm Maya Yadu, the project coordinator for Rödl & Partner in Pune, India, and I will take you through the session today. Before we continue the session, let me just briefly explain the technical side of our program. The following functions are available to you. In the upper right corner of your screen, you will find a control panel. Here, you can adjust the audio settings and choose, for example, between your headset or the computer audio. Please note that as a participant, you are muted by default. A bit further down the dashboard, you will find the question panel. We will request the attendees to please post their questions in the question section, and we will take these up in the last leg of the webinar during the Q&A. Allow me to very briefly introduce the Make in India Mittelstand program. MIIM is an initiative of the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT, and the Embassy of India in Berlin. MIIM provides a platform that integrates a wide range of support services for German Mittelstand companies and family-owned enterprises. It is part of the Make in India initiative of the Indian government and is a program designed to facilitate investment, foster innovation, enhance skill development, protect intellectual property, and build best-in-class manufacturing infrastructure. The MIIM program offers all support services like strategy consulting, M&A, operational market entry support, tax and legal support, financial services, project financing, location services, technology collaboration, and facilitation of approvals from central and state government agencies under one single umbrella. Part of the MIIM program is today's informative webinar. As we are all well aware, recycling and establishing a circular economy in India is an important factor when it comes to reducing waste, conserving resources, and mitigating the negative impacts of climate change, while also creating new job opportunities and stimulating economic growth. India, as one of the world's fastest growing economies with a large population and increasing demand for sustainable solutions, offers significant opportunities for German SMEs in the recycling sector in India. These include the development of innovative and sustainable technologies, the provision of technical expertise, and the establishment of partnerships with Indian companies. India, hence, is an undeniably promising market for recycling technologies and services, something we would like to explore in today's webinar. I am very pleased to welcome our speakers. Kindly allow me to briefly introduce today's expert speakers. Brijesh Patel is Director of Indus Eco Partners and responsible for business planning, operations management, and alliance and partner development at Indus Eco Partners. He has more than 15 years of experience in business development, product management, and organizing high-level networking and relationship-building events for German and Indian companies. He has a good mix of private, public, and social sector experience, having worked with startups, multinational, as well as government organizations. Prior to starting Indus Media, he worked extensively in the trade and investment development sector. Brijesh has done his graduation from Mumbai University with a bachelor's degree in commerce and economics and a diploma in human resource management from St. Xavier's College in Mumbai as well. He has ample experience in solid waste management systems for developed and middle-income countries, and also heads the working group India as part of the German RedTech Partnership. DC Shekhar is an ex-merchant Navy oil tanker captain. An alumni of IIM Bengaluru, he has founded Alphames Limited and Better Tank Robotics Private Limited. He is a passionate innovator and has designed one of the most successful solutions to clean river plastics. This solution is deployed in 8 cities and has stopped thousands of tons of plastics from reaching the sea. He has also designed and developed a wave energy harvester and robots to clean petroleum tank sludge in order to eliminate man-entry risks. He has also designed a remote-controlled wave-powered boat for coastal surveillance applications. Aniket Ganesham completed his Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science from Drexel University, USA, and obtained a Master of Science in Urban Water Management from the University of Cape Town, South Africa. He has spent almost a decade studying and working on water, sustainability, and climate change. He has provided water and environment-related services and recommendations to the government of Meghalaya, the government of Nigeria, and the government of India. Currently, Aniket is working at the Waste Wealth Mission housed at Invest India and spearheaded by the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor. This mission identifies problem statements and aims to address India's environmental changes with innovative technological solutions. Next up is Sebastian Frisch. Sebastian Frisch, one of the founders and managing directors of Black Forest Solutions GmbH, holds the responsibility of leading an international waste management consultancy team of 30 staff. Mr. Frisch has more than 20 years of waste management experience in more than 60 countries, with 12 years of practical experience in EPR for solid waste management and the circular economy sector. He has extensive experience in a multi-stakeholder discussion, including policy advice for decision makers and consultancy for the private sector worldwide, but particularly in the MENA and SADC regions. Mr. Frisch headed different positions at Alba Group, one of Germany's largest waste management companies. He was involved in developing solutions for various waste streams, from hazardous and e-waste to packaging waste treatment. In addition to Mr. Frisch's experience in development cooperation, he worked with various international corporations and development cooperation agencies to improve local capacities and operations of waste treatment facilities in low and middle income countries. Mr. Frisch has been involved in development cooperation projects for 12 years. And last but not least, Ulhas Parlikar is the board director of the Material Recycling Association of India and a global consultant specialized in strategies for waste management, circular economy, policy advocacy, AFRs, and co-processing. Mr. Parlikar has a remarkable and long-standing experience in the field of waste management. He has, for example, built a large geocycle business in India for utilizing waste as resources, has served as an expert member on several committees, and authored multiple publications. Even now, after his retirement, Mr. Parlikar is still very active in the field and has, amongst other things, executed strategic assignments for the EU and other global organizations, and extended consultancy services to many companies and waste-generating industries. We will now begin with Invest India's keynote, identifying solutions to India's critical solid waste management challenges, in which Aniket Ganesham will share his insights with us. Over to you, Aniket.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you for the very kind introduction. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, it's perfectly visible.
Okay, so I'm just going to have a very brief overview of the Waste Wealth Mission and some of the activities that we have undertaken. So the Waste Wealth Mission is one of the 10 scientific missions of the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council. The project management unit is housed at Invest India, but we are spearheaded by the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, as Maya had also very kindly mentioned. Now, our core mandate is to identify technologies in the solid and liquid waste management space. Now, ideally, these technologies should be sustainable or generate a circular economy, and should also be able to restore or preserve our natural resources, that being land, air, and water. Now, in that vein, we have the Waste Wealth portal, which has a repository of technologies in this sector from India and abroad. And the reason this is particularly useful is because we have discussions with municipalities and urban local bodies throughout the country. We then try to identify their problem statements. So there could be a municipality that requires something related to waste segregation, or something related to waste to energy, or something related to wastewater treatment, etc. So on that basis, then we have these vetted technologies on our portal, and we can then display them as potential solutions that could be implemented in those regions. Now, so the sectors that we currently look at include all that you can see on my screen: agricultural waste, MSW, BMW, e-waste, wastewater, etc. Now, we really want to prioritize decentralized waste processing facilities along with decentralized wastewater treatment facilities. We want to divert waste from entering our landfills that are already overburdened. We want to address water quality for our water bodies, and also remove any solid waste and debris that is currently clogging and polluting our water bodies, etc. E-waste management as well is also a focus area for us. Now, in terms of some of the work that we've done, we've deployed 10 technologies in the municipal solid waste, wastewater, drain cleaning, biomedical waste, and agri-waste sectors. We've converted 2 open dump sites into waste processing facilities. We have a project in the Barapula drain, which I will expand on later, but essentially the Barapola drain in Delhi, we deployed a technology that cleaned 3 kilometer stretch of that drain, along with diverted 3,000 tons of waste from that drain. Now that Barapola drain is connected to the Yamuna River, so therefore this waste would have ended up in the Yamuna. So it is in that way also address the water quality in Yamuna River as well. Now, in terms of our portal, we have waste management policies and guidelines. It's a one-stop shop for anyone to find anything relevant in this sector related to municipal solid waste, plastic waste, etc. We also have online monitoring of our technology deployments to determine the efficiency and effectiveness of the technologies that we have deployed. We have also several awareness programs and workshops that we've organized. We've also had challenges and calls to identify technologies in the sector, as I've mentioned. We've reviewed and evaluated over 800 technologies, and 150 of them are now are on display on our portal. So I'll just briefly go over some of the tech deployments. One of them was the Barapola drain, which I had already mentioned. So essentially this, as you can see, there was a lot of solid waste and debris located in the drain. And because of the deployment of this amphibious excavator, we've been able to remove this debris, which was choking and clogging the Barapola drain. So the cleaning and desilting of it has occurred. And as I had mentioned, a 3 kilometer stretch, 3,000 tons have been, 3 kilometer stretch has been cleaned and 3,000 tons of waste has been removed. We also have our decentralized waste management park in Jafrabad in East Delhi. Now, this is a 10.5 ton per day waste processing facility. Now, essentially, this area, it used to be a dhalao. So dhalaos in India are just areas where garbage is dumped, essentially, and then will then be diverted into landfills. And we converted this dhalao into a waste processing facility. So 10.5 tons would equate to 22,000 people. And we've deployed 5 technologies, 4 in the solid waste management space and 1 in the wastewater management space. So the technologies that we had deployed, one of them is EnviroRise by DESME. Now, essentially, this collected floating waste from an adjacent drain to the Jafrabad Tech Park. 500 to 700 kilos of floating waste was collected and then put into the plasma pyrolysis unit that is also available on the site. We have a waste segregating unit, Zapper, which also features a composting unit in the segregator itself. So therefore, when it is segregated into wet and dry, the wet waste can then be converted into compost. As I mentioned, we had 2 waste to energy facilities in the form of a plasma pyrolysis and a gasifier unit. Both of these can be used to generate electricity and also create byproducts such as bricks. We also have a wastewater treatment facility on site. This will treat all the wastewater that's being generated at the waste processing facility itself to ensure that the water consumption of our tech park is minimal. We also had an agricultural waste deployment that also took place. We did it in collaboration with a Swedish torrefaction technology. Essentially, this pilot converted 1,000 tons of paddy straw of agri-waste into high-density biocoal. This is done in partnership with the National Agri-Food Biotechnology Institute, NABI, in Mohali. Now, the output material of this, the produced biocoal, had 30% higher energy density than conventional coal and 20 times less emissions. So this displays a potential solution to the paddy straw and the crop burning that's occurring every winter in northern India in particular. As I mentioned, we had the Waste to Wealth portal in which we invite companies to apply to display the kind of solutions that they have. We actually had technical subcommittees, with experts from academia for the relevant fields, whether it be solid waste management, plastic waste management, wastewater treatment, etc. And then on that basis, they would then evaluate these applications. And then on the basis of their evaluations, they would then be onboarded onto our portal. Now, we also have our dashboard, which I mentioned, which is for the online monitoring of the technologies that have been deployed. So on the basis of this, we're then able to determine how effective these deployments have been and whether they can be scaled up. We've also had 2 technology challenges. There was the Cleaning and Restoring India's Water Bodies Challenge. This invited technological solutions to clean rural and urban water bodies. This includes both in the forms of improving water quality, but also in terms of removing solid waste and debris. Now, the floating trash barrier, which removes floating waste from rivers by Alphamers Limited, was selected as the winner of this challenge. Mr. Shekhar will actually be presenting on this later, so I'll let him do that. And we also had our Biomedical Waste Treatment Challenge, which was done at the height of the pandemic to dispose of biomedical waste at the time. And for this, we had set a unit in Bihar, which was a biomedical waste incinerator, which was done by Ganesh Engineering Works. So we've also done some community engagement activities. We had the Sudhara Behavioral Change project, which essentially converted, which was done in partnership with temples, and converted floral waste into compost and gulal. Gulal is like a color that we use during our festival of Holi. So essentially, we created economic products from something that would essentially just be waste. The community engagement aspect of this is that local training programs are set up for over 150 women. And in terms of our other community engagement program was the Swachhta Sarthi Fellowship. In this, we recognized over 400 students, community workers, sanitary workers who are currently engaged in waste management. So essentially, we want to give a platform to young innovators and to those who have displayed initiatives in this sector. So, for example, to give a couple of examples, there would be people who started segregating their waste in their homes, and then they're converting the wet waste into compost and using them in their gardens. Another example would be there was a person who would take circuit boards and he would then reuse them as book covers to protect his books rather than just sending it to a landfill. So we wanted to display these innovative solutions that can be just essentially done by anyone and display a method to reduce our waste footprint. Now, I'll briefly just go over our waste management scenario. As you can see, we generated an incredible amount of waste in this country. We've generated a lot of municipal solid waste, plastic waste, sewage, etc. Now, in terms of the potential of our circular economy by 2025 is supposed to be $1 trillion, according to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. We expect there to be many more jobs in recycling. The government also really aims to promote sanitation, as every $1 invested in sanitation translates to a $5 return. We also aim to address some of our land issues when it comes to municipal solid waste and reclaim a lot of land that is currently being used as landfills, as a lot of those landfills are currently using prime real estate. So to give a brief on the municipal solid waste scenario in India, we generate over 152,000 tons of solid waste every day, out of which 37% is treated. In 30 years, we're expected to double what we're generating right now. And we currently already generate more than any other country on earth. So we are looking at solutions to address the amount of waste that we're generating in-house, trying to ensure that a lot of the waste that are being generated by industries and domestically do not end up in landfills and are treated at source, which is why decentralized solutions are something we really like to focus on. And ultimately, we see a lot of potential in this, as the market size for the municipal solid waste market in India by 2025 is expected to become $14 billion. Plastic waste is also something which is expected to reach nearly $54 billion by the end of this year. We generate 26,000 tons of plastic per day, and of which 60% is recycled. Now, there's actually a lot of already innovative entrepreneurs and companies that are making tiles and roads, clothes, etc., and reusing this plastic waste and creating sustainable products that generate a circular economy. In terms of e-waste, the value of e-waste generated in 2020 was $57 billion. At least $10 billion worth of gold, platinum, and other precious metals are dumped every year in this growing mountain of electronic waste that's polluting our planet, according to the UN. Now, currently, India only collects around 10% of our e-waste out of the over 2,300 tons per day that's generated. There's a lot of value in terms of addressing the e-waste scenario in India or anywhere in the world, because there's 100 times more gold in 1 ton of smartphones than there is in a ton of gold ore. So there is a lot of revenue that can potentially be generated from this sector as well. Currently, 95% of the e-waste in India is handled by the informal sector, and that's also something that we're looking to change. Now, in terms of wastewater, as you can see, the polluted rivers in India have drastically increased from 2009 to 2019, as have the polluted river stretches. But we've also increased our treatment capacity. Now, the wastewater treatment market in India is expected to reach $4.3 billion by 2025. And wastewater treatment is something that the government is really aiming to prioritize. We aim to invest $270 billion in water infrastructure over the next 15 years. This will include piped water supply, which comes under the Jal Jeevan mission. We're also looking at the Namami Gange project in terms of improving the water quality of the Ganga River, which comes under the Ministry of Jal Shakti. And we also aim to address water conservation measures in agriculture, as most of our water consumption is due to agriculture. Some of the big companies in this space also include VA Wabak, which has implemented massive 200 million liter per day units across the country, along with Siemens, Voltas, etc. In terms of biomedical waste, by 2024, the market size is expected to reach $39 million. Currently, we're generating around nearly 620 tons of biomedical waste a day. And India is actually treating 89% of this. Now, COVID, the pandemic in particular, really increased the amount of biomedical waste that is being generated in the country. And while that may have decreased now, we still aim to treat all of our biomedical waste in the future. Now, in terms of waste to energy, there's a lot of potential in India. We've only harnessed around 6% of it. The states that have really shown initiative in waste to energy facilities are Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, and Andhra Pradesh. But this is something that's a big priority for the central government as well. And waste to energy is something that will definitely be increased throughout the country. There are already quite a few players that have already entered the market to address these challenges. But waste to energy and creating a circular economy is something the government is really prioritizing and will continue to expand in the future. Now, in terms of some of the laws and regulations, as you can see, we have all the rules already in place. While these rules continue to get amended, we have them for both for municipal solid waste, for air, for water quality, etc. All of these can actually be found on the Waste12 portal. Anyone who's interested in learning what the current policies are and what is going to be enforced can look at these policies on our website, waste12.gov.in. Lastly, so why is investment required in the waste sector? As I've mentioned, the waste scenario in India is pretty drastic. So we need to address all the solid waste that's being addressed. We need to protect our water bodies, etc. So we want to reroute as much solid waste from entering landfills as possible, reuse it, and set up decentralized facilities throughout the country. As I also mentioned, the Waste12 mission also does this, is we encourage ULBs, urban local bodies, to partner with private companies to implement waste management solutions. So they themselves realize what problems they have, and then on that basis, we can also suggest and technological solutions to address their environmental challenges. So the rules that I just mentioned earlier, in terms of solid waste management, what they really aim to encourage is the use of compost rather than using chemical fertilizers. Use municipal solid waste as an alternative to fuels, using RDF, waste to energy, biogas, bio-CNG, green hydrogen, etc. We're also looking at converting plastic into roads, and we really want to emphasize decentralized solutions as they are normally more economical and can help address the challenges that we have in a faster manner. That's all from my side. I'd like to thank all of you for listening.
Thank you, Aniket, for sharing your thoughts and your expertise with us today. I would now like to hand over the virtual mic to Mr. Brijesh Patel and his keynote, Challenges Faced by German Suppliers, Myths and Facts of Doing Business in the Indian Solid Waste Management Sector. Mr. Patel unfortunately has troubles with his video today, so just know that he's there and holding his presentation, and of course we can hear him, but unfortunately not see him. Thank you, Mr. Patel. Over to you.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you very much for the introduction. As Maya mentioned, I'm really having an issue with my webcam, my camera, but anyway, I guess if anybody wants to contact me, you have my address over here. And what I'm trying to present, first of all, Aniket, I thank you very much for the lovely presentation. You gave up quite good numbers about what's happening in India, what is the market condition like, plus the initiative of Invest India to support the development of technologies within the country, as well as, of course, I believe the cooperation with international. So I'll come back to the question and answer, and I have written down a few questions which I like to ask you. You highlighted very important points about decentralized waste management, but I guess centralized waste management also does play a role. So we'll talk about it later. And this is where I would like to introduce German RETEC partnership to our participants over here. What does German RETEC partnership do? It's basically a German knowledge and technology transfer in the waste management sector. I head the India working group, so all interaction between Indian actors, the Indian industry, and between German industry with our members. We do discuss it in our different working group meetings. We have at least twice in a year. If I could just move my, all right. So just shortly, RETEC, which was founded in 2007, it became in 2011 an official association. And in 2021, now we are strategic partners of the Federal Ministry of Environment of Germany. So we are very much supported by the government of Germany. Main objectives behind the whole object RETEC was, of course, capacity building for sustainable waste management and recycling worldwide. So very often government of Germany, international delegations, especially the government delegations, get a lot of queries from different states, different cities regarding management of waste and how can the cities manage. The government, especially the ministry, can support in some way or the other through GIZ, through some other development policy issues. But when it comes to connecting industry, this is where they felt German RETEC partnership can do the best job. And that is why one of the most important idea was capacity building. Of course, the knowledge transfer as well as technology transfer plays a major role over here. So that is what the German RETEC partnership supports. Partnerships with interested countries. So we have, through our working groups and through our members, we cover quite a lot of regions within in India, in the world. That's how we reach out with our individually tailored concepts and solutions. Just to make it sure we are not aggressively marketing or something, these are queries which the German RETEC partnership receives through its member or through the government institutions. And of course, as a main objective is to support the German recycling industry. So we offer the German company country-specific knowledge about what's happening in the different countries with the solid waste management. So we have something called company profiles or country profiles for each and every country, which is made accessible to our German companies and members. So basically, as a regulation framework, we cover we have different partners. We cover almost all the complete stream of waste management, from the collection to the recycling as well as marketing. We have an advisory board. If you see the names, most of the Germans would realize it and understand what these names are, but basically these are all the associations and the different ministries who are on the advisory board of German RETEC partnership. Of course, we have different corporations around the world. So IFAT being one, ISWA, Privat Waste Alliance, African Business Network. And of course, through this platform, through this webinar, I would like to also propose setting up a business or a networking or a cooperation between Indian stakeholders like MRI, like Invest India, together with RETEC. So these, as I mentioned, are all our advisory board members. We have approximately 62 members as of 2022. They come from all the different fields, majorly, but if you see, it's consulting and engineering companies. How are we structured? This is how we are basically, we use our members and the resources of our members to build up working groups. So we have working group for finance, working group for municipal waste. We have working group China, MENA, emerging and developing markets, etc. So through these working groups, which are headed by individual members, we bring the information to RETEC and also to the different stakeholders. What is the main activity if you look at German RETEC partnership being a non-profit association or a group of companies? But we have developed a 5-step model, a way forward for a modern circular economy. So we have built up concepts which we are still, I mean, it's not completely finalized, but we are in the process, and this should become sort of a template which we would like to present as German RETEC's activity and support to international companies as well as international governmental institutions. And these areas, or the step models as we call it, they cover almost all the different stakeholder topics. So we're talking about technology, we're talking about politics, we're talking about the economic model for waste management, integration of the societies. Last but the most important topic, which I see in India often lacking, is the finance model for waste management. So now in the last 4 or 5 years, thanks to the Clean India mission, we see more and more money coming into the waste management sector. You can call it EPR as one of the issues. The other is CBG, the gas market is developing, so it also makes it attractive for organic waste management. On the other side, for the waste to energy, there is also a price or extra revenue generation model given by the state. So yes, it's developing. I think if more efforts are done as it is going on, I guess we will be very soon looking at financially viable models. So just to highlight a few activities which German RETEC partnership is undertaking, we have supported and strengthened the German green tech companies for the internationalization. So this is a platform where all the German green tech technology providers come together, and this is then presented with the help of the International Chamber of Commerce. And as I mentioned, the most important idea is to create awareness in international market for the German German environmental technologies. One of the most important, or which I still remember as one of the most fruitful activities we had is the international conferences once in a year, which takes place mostly in Berlin. In 2021, the highlight of the conference was on bio-waste. Similarly, in 2019, we had talked about the circular economy against marine litter. And this year, in November, we will be hosting the international conference again. And the topic is the role of the circular economy in contributing to environment and climate protection goals. I would like to take this opportunity to invite Indian stakeholders to consider participation and cooperation. If anybody has ideas, suggestions, you are most welcome to get in touch with me. So country profiles, as I mentioned, we have presented, RETEC has prepared country profiles which are targeted towards the German company so that they can understand what's happening in a particular country with respect to waste, with respect to water. So it's a very intensive document which is accessible to everybody on the website of German RETEC Partnership. Some projects which are in the progress. So the first one, which is mentioned right on top, 2023 in Nigeria, we're supporting, or the plan is to work on a marine litter project. It's still under discussion. Similarly, in 21-22, organic waste treatment in East Africa. So these are the different projects undertaken by German RETEC Partnership together with its members. So it's always the members of German RETEC Partnership who take the lead, and the RETEC platform as such, or the Office of RETEC, supports these activities. So I'll try to move a little bit faster on, of course, what can RETEC offer. This is also very important. As I said, RETEC has a group of companies, members, universities who can offer one-stop solutions for waste management and technology or capacity building. Safety and planning for decision makings in terms of technical and service related interface, cost benefits compare. So this will be part of the consultancy jobs, and the necessary condition beyond technology. So as I again mentioned, the framework around the economic model around waste management that needs to be developed before we talk about just technologies, because just by providing technologies, it may not solve the problem of waste processing. this is our team based in Berlin. And now I would like to come to the main topic, and I'm happy to have Sebastian also over here with us. Sebastian is the one of the members and board of directors of German Redec Partnership. And as a German company also, maybe he can put in his feedback a little bit later in what are the challenges faced by German suppliers. So what we have seen in the past for few years, identifying the right buyers. So waste management, especially the municipal waste management or even the biomedical waste or other waste, is primarily motivated and organized by the government agencies. So the ULBs are the contractors. Then it goes to the private operators and small industries, very small companies participate. These structures are a little bit difficult for a European or a German company to directly understand. So it's very, very difficult for German partners to directly participate in contracts, tenders, and especially going through tendering. So this is also I mean, everybody knows challenges in international market going for a tendering process. So that's one area. Absence of economic business model. So if you look at the European waste management, it's based on a tipping fee principle. Each and every household, each and every person who generates waste has to pay for disposing its waste. So the tipping fee concept, a small household of 3% would also pay in the range of 30 to 40 euros per month to dispose of its waste. It depends from city to city, state to state, village to village, but there is a clear economic business model supporting the waste management. This is, as I mentioned before, is still lacking a little bit. Some cities have started with tipping fees, not everybody. The other challenges which faced is the contract durations and validity. In the past, we had a lot of tenders floated by municipal corporations for waste processing plants, but most of these contracts were very short contracts, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. If you look at the investment and the resources put to set up a waste to energy plant, it's not financially as well as economically viable, especially from the resource efficiency part of it, the materials used for just to have it for 10 years. So these are some issues which we have seen occurring. Now, I would like to say this thing has changed in the last few years. The new tenders which are coming for 15 years, 20 years. And I think so the last meeting which the Swachh Bharat mission had regarding waste management, I think this topic of 20 years, 25 years for the life cycle of waste to energy plants or biogas plant or treatment plants was considered. Guarantee of waste, so quantity, quality, and composition. This is a major issue because as Ankit presented, there is about 39% of waste which is recycled right now, but I am pretty sure that 89% of the waste is still mixed waste delivered at the sites. So this makes it very, very difficult for processing technologies as well as getting the right value out of the project or out of the material. So of course, we would like to recommend source segregation of waste, which thankfully after the Clean India mission, one sees a lot of initiative, lot of education, lot of awareness created. So I would like to say, yes, it is the step in the right direction. I think if the progress goes further on that, 100% door-to-door collection and then 100% segregation collection would be a big major game changer for the Indian industry. Issues with German, of course, know-how protection. There have been some issues in the past, but I guess this is a problem with all industries. So this is a very clear business opportunity which German companies have to evaluate, but still they are sometimes a little bit hesitant when it comes to know-how protection. Clear policies and directives, especially with RDF, waste to energy, bio-CNG. Now the market seems to be developing slowly for the bio-CNG market. Waste to energy is still on its way. I guess there are intentions, and I think we will look forward for more clear policies and directives for waste to energy. RDF, we have one of the experts on this panel, Mr. Palekar. He has worked intensively on this. He has been part of the different working commissions in the ministry to put down the policy of RDF. Yes, I think a clear idea on how to process RDF would be helpful for the industry. Very few German companies are active in India, Asia. This is partly true, and I think so this is again changing, but yes, we would like to see more of our German companies participating in the Indian businesses, especially with the waste management and setting up treatment facilities. There are some myths and facts of doing business in Indian waste sector. So this is something which I would like to talk about, looking at the Indian perspective side, because whenever we talk to Indian stakeholders, these are the first few words we get immediately when we talk about technologies. German technology. The first thing which we get is German technology is expensive. German technologies will not work in India because our waste is different, and Indian scale of operations are very big. These arguments have been given in the past 5-10 years very often, but here I would like to again address our Indian stakeholders. Yes, German technologies are expensive, but it always comes into the framework. How do you calculate? If you're calculating it for the short term, yes, it's expensive, but if you consider a long-term project of calculating 15 years of life cycle, you will see it really works with good technologies from Germany, good equipments. German technologies will not work in India. Well, I would disagree over here, because if you look at the Asian market, especially China, Indonesia, and other developing countries, most of the biggest plants are being set up by German companies, German technology providers. So it will work. It does work in other countries. I'm sure it will also work in Indian market. Indian waste qualities are a lot more than German cities, but there is enough international experience with bigger projects. So again, answer to the same. Scale is not a problem. German companies have established mega projects around the world. Experience is there. Yes, we don't have mega projects like in Europe, in Germany. The biggest cities are Berlin, München. They don't have more than a few thousand, I would assume not more than 2,000 tons of waste, which in India, a two-tier city of an entire city already has that. So yes, our cities are not very big, but that does not mean that German companies cannot set up these big plants. My suggestion and recommendation in this forum, how German RETEC partnership can move ahead. Of course, pilot projects, joint collaboration, consortium with Indian industries and German RETEC partnership members. This would be my first approach. I look forward for cooperation with MRI, CII, other associations, capacity building at municipal and pollution control board level, of course, industry also. But I guess it's more on the municipal. If the municipal corporations know what exactly they want, I think it would become very simple. And that's where we see quite sometimes a lack of knowledge. I guess a capacity building program would certainly help. And we as German RETEC partnership are in the position to support this. A common platform for interaction and exchange of information. Here again, would be very much similar to cooperation between German RETEC and other associations. We would propose if Invest India and if MRI to come together, and we can develop a platform where we can encourage more interaction between German and Indian companies for waste management and transfer of knowledge, or even business networking events. Last but not the least, facilitation support of trade delegation from India to Germany and vice versa. So, thanks to different programs we had in the past, we were able to welcome Swachh Bharat Clean India Mission officers to Germany. We would like to support and welcome this initiative that more and more city decision makers come see how waste management is organized, so that they can take back the know-how, the concepts, and develop it in their own cities as per their requirements. So I would like to take this opportunity one more time to thank everybody, and for any questions, any suggestions which you have, I'm available anytime, and please feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patel, for sharing German RedTech Partnership's perspective with us. Our next speaker is Mr. Ulhas Parlikar, who will speak about building a circular economy in the Indian plastic industry. And over to you, Mr. Parlikar.
Thank you, Maya. I hope my screen is visible and in full screen mode. Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
So, just give me a minute. Yeah. So, I would like to dwell upon the subject of building circular economy in plastic recycling industry in the country, in India. And I believe that there is a lot of cooperation which is feasible between the German industry and the Indian industry in this respect. Just one second. Yeah. So I represent MRAI, which is Material Recycling Association of India. It is the Apex National Association of India representing the interest of recycling industry. It has over 1,200 members, including most regional trade and product associations. Our collective strength comprises of over 20,000 small, medium, and large enterprises, directly and indirectly employing about 25 lakh people, spanning over recycling and recyclable commodities, including ferrous and non-ferrous metals, plastics, paper, e-waste, tires, rubber, glass, automobile, construction and demolition, and also water recycling. So we have a gamut of recycling industry segments. In fact, everything that can be recycled is something that is of interest to MRAI, and it tries to promote as much efficient recycling as possible through the efforts. The objective of this MRAI is to envision circular economy in every sector, and particularly for this topic today is the plastic sector, where we believe that plastics should never be considered as a waste material at all. We should be able to recycle it fully. In the process, we need to eliminate the obstacles which come in the way of recycling. We need to innovate better technologies, better methodologies of recycling, and also circulate all the material to keep them in economy and out of the environment. That is the objective of the circular economy model that we are building from MRAI. The recycling is a unique sector that creates social, economic, and environmental impacts, and this is very visible today. You can see it from the strength that MRAI has got in terms of the recycling industry participation. The recycling industry in India, if you look at from plastics point of view, Average per capita consumption of plastics in India is about 11 kgs. And we believe that, it has reached about 20 kgs now. Almost 12 to 20% of the total solid waste generated in the country is plastics in that. 60% of the total plastics which is present in the waste gets recycled. And the recycling industry presently is operating in a very, very informal sector, producing low-grade recyclates, and therefore, they find applications in the lower end of the economy. So because the quality is not so good, so they are producing low-grade products which attract low prices, and therefore the entire supply chain actually is operating at a very minimal kind of a economic plateau. That means that there is an opportunity to improve the quality of this particular material to near virgin material. And if that happens, it will promote better economic returns into the entire supply chain of the plastic waste material. If we are able to convert this informal into an organized sector, that is what will facilitate to achieve the near virgin grade material recycled production, which will build a very strong economy for the recycling of plastic materials. So what are the main kind of approaches which will help bring circularity or improve the quality of the recyclates of the plastic waste? First is that there is a requirement to boost the demand for post-consumer resins made out of the recycled products. And I'm very fortunate to say that in India, through the EPR, the mandate has been given that most of the plastic, all the plastic products which are manufactured will have to have the recycled content to an extent as defined in the regulation. The second methodology is to encourage utilization of advanced technology and machinery. What happens is, since we are operating in an informal sector, the amount of money available for the individual entrepreneur is very small, with which he can only procure and install very, very elementary systems and processes for recycling purposes, and because of which the quality of the recyclate obviously is not so good. The efficiency of segregation, efficiency of cleaning, which is required for recycling of plastic waste, remains very, very low when it is carried out in the informal sector. Only when the advanced technology is brought in that the efficiencies of segregation, efficiencies of cleaning will improve, and therefore the quality of the recyclate will also improve. The third driver which is required to be implemented is to set up recycling parks with desired facilities, so that the informal sector, one, becomes formal, and two, has access to advanced technology. And the fourth lever for improving the circularity in the plastic recycling industry is to set up common waste management facilities. What happens is, today the waste management facilities set up by the informal sector are very elementary in nature. In the given context of the environmental regulation in the country, they do not actually stand the recognition, and therefore many of these informal industry do not have the recognition of the Pollution Control Board, because of which they remain as informal industry only. If they are able to get the recognition of the Pollution Control Board by way of the consents, by way of their registration, then they will be able to operate as a organized sector industry. And if this has to happen, common treatment facilities, common waste management facilities probably will help to achieve the desired objective. I'll take one by one of these levers. The first is to increase the demand of the post-consumer resins. So there's lack of demand for good quality recycled granules. As I said, that most of it is informal sector. Whatever recycle it is, or the granules are provided from the recycling industry in the informal sector, it goes into low-end products, and therefore there's not enough money available in the entire supply chain. So everybody is a loser. What is required is that use of PCR to defined extent to be mandated into the manufacture of different products. This has been done in the plastic waste management rules of 2022. The government needs to promote effective implementation of this so that the demand for recyclate of good quality or near virgin quality material starts improving. And there should be mechanisms in place which the government should bring in, where the bilateral cooperation should bring in the better technologies, the better machines for improving the quality of the resin for utilization in the plastic products. The second is to build the good infrastructure. You see, the low quality and low price products basically, as I said, do not bring in a lot of money or required amount of money into this entire supply chain process of plastic waste management. So therefore, what is important is that the ministry and the bilateral cooperation between the two countries that we are talking about, they should promote the transfer of technology, the transfer of or movement of the good machines, advanced machines for efficient recycling, efficient segregation, efficient cleaning, etc., etc. And my knowledge is that Germany has got excellent machines to do this particular job. And if the bilateral cooperation can work towards it, I think nothing like it. Then it will promote the cleaning, the segregation in the right manner, and therefore the quality of the granules or recyclates will improve substantially. The import duties on such machines, they should be reduced or made nil, zero, so that the industries and also I think government should promote collective procurement and collective installation of such machines by the industry clusters in the informal, which are operating in informal sector, so that these machines can be operated effectively to the capacity and economically. If possible, the government should also provide export subsidy, wherever the recyclates are being exported, they should get more money towards the good quality material that they are producing, which actually will be replacing the imported good quality materials. And they should also restrict the imports to some extent when the local market or local development of the good quality resin starts happening. So this way, I think the local good quality resin market will start improving, and the demand for the near virgin material will start increasing substantially. The third point was to organize the recycling parks. with desired facilities. Most of the recycling industry today being in the informal sector, it produces, again, as I said, low quality, low price products utilizing low end technology and machineries. This approach limits the compensation and margins of the stakeholder in the supply chain. So ministry therefore should consider promoting implementation of business parks for the plastic recyclers, plastic waste recyclers at suitable locations in the country so that they get a formal environment, and therefore they should also facilitate setting up of the standard methods of work, SOPs, for complying to the environmental regulations. For example, we have common effluent treatment plants in many of the industry estates. So similar, common effluent treatment plants, if they are set up in such recycling parks, then the recycling industry will not have any difficulty in complying to the environmental regulation. Today, this situation is not so good, and therefore, the environmental regulation is very low from this informal sector and also from the clusters where these informal sectors are operating. And the fourth and most important aspect is common treatment facilities. You see, the plastic waste particularly, if it has to produce excellent quality granules or recyclates, there are two specific requirements which have to be addressed. One is the segregation of the plastics has to be very, very efficient. That means the flexibles and the rigid, they should be properly segregated. Amongst flexible, the different polymers, whether it is LDP, HDP, or polypropylene or whatever, they should be properly segregated as polymers. So if the segregation is efficiently done, then the granules produced out of that also will be good. So the efficient recycling of plastics is dependent upon this efficiency of segregation implemented in terms of their polymer nature. And the second is plastic waste has got substantial contamination of dust, moisture, and several other chemicals and items. So this cleaning of this is another very, very important aspect. For this cleaning, efficient systems are required, efficient machinery is required, so that the entire the entire contamination is removed from the plastic waste. This can be achieved by the efficient machines only. And therefore, the solution is that for the segregation and for the cleaning, there should be common treatment facilities. If these common treatment facilities are promoted on PPP mode in the clusters or in the recycle parks or at a desired location within the region, within the state, within the city, then it will provide an opportunity for the informal sector to send their input waste material to this facility, obtain a clean and good quality plastic waste of right polymer and also right contamination free state, that they can process it to produce the right quality of granules. These granules will certainly be of the quality of near virgin material. And this way, I believe that the improvement in the quality of the material will happen. The price for the granules will increase. Therefore, the substantial price distribution will happen in the supply chain process also. So if you take any recycling process, we have the plastic waste, which is actually segregated. After segregation, it is cleaned through washing processes. Then it is sent through the extrusion process, and then the extrusion process, the granules are produced, and the granules are then utilized for the good quality product manufacture. So as a conclusion, I would like to suggest the ministry, in association with the bilateral cooperation that it has with the German industry, German government, should consider resource efficiency policy for the use of the plastic, the post-consumer resins in all plastic products manufactured in the country, with an appropriate vision, something like 25% by 2025. The numbers which are already mentioned in the EPR plastic waste management rules, they should be implemented very effectively. Ministry may also consider waiving off the import duty on the advanced machines that we talked about, which are essential for improving the recyclate quality. This will also trigger the process of formalizing the involved stakeholders and strengthening the supply chain process and recycling industry segment in a big way. Effective utilization of the extended producer responsibility will trigger the growth of circular economy in the plastic waste material processing. Ministry may also consider including the common waste management facilities in the design and implementation of recycle parks and integrate the same through suitable business models in the existing recycling clusters of the country. So in all, I wanted to share that formalization of unorganized sector is an important aspect. Promoting policies for construction of recycling parks is another requirement. Investment incentives, they need to be provided for the this recycling industry. Then we have the promotion of the demand for recycled products, then the strict legislation, appropriate technologies implementation, government support, bilateral cooperation, and the quality control and standardization of the recycled plastic material. The BIS should probably collaborate with the German standards organizations to see how the recycled materials, recycled granules, recycled products should have these standards which can be complied to. So that's all I wanted to share. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. MRAI is very, very kind of committed to support this cause of recycling of plastics, and we will be happy to participate, share, collaborate in any manner required to promote this particular circularity in plastics. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Parlikat. And yeah, thank you for sharing your really relevant and interesting inputs and for making so many good suggestions. Our next speaker is Mr. Sebastian Frisch, who will share his experiences with Landbell Black Forest Solutions GmbH. And thank you for joining us today here, Mr. Frisch, and over to you.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon from my side. Thank you for having me in this workshop today. And first of all, I would like to speak about the reasons why we are investing in India. And I just see that I cannot see my screen now, so the presentation that I shared, I can just see myself. How can I change this, please?
This is, sorry, what was the question? I didn't get it.
Excuse me, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Frisch, your question, I didn't get it.
So I cannot see my presentation, just myself.
It's very much visible. It's absolutely fine. I think the problem is because you're only using one screen. There's only the possibility of, sharing your presentation, but you can't. Wait.
Sebastian, may I suggest that you open your screen, your presentation on your screen. It is already visible to us.
It's visible, exactly. But you can't see it yourself, so you can't. Is that what you?
Okay, now when I switch off my camera, so now I can see my presentation.
Okay.
So yeah, I wanted to start with the reasons why we invested in India. So for us, it was most important that we saw in India that there are legal regulations already in place. That we also saw that the government of India is actually enforcing those legal regulations. And this was one of the main reasons why we decided to go into the market. In addition to that, also the market size and also the fact that we are in an early stage still in waste management in India, and the topics and the services that we are providing are just about to start in a market with now I think 1.4, 1.5 billion people and a growing GDP. In addition, we also found that it is of course comfortable for us not to have language barriers, that we can communicate in English in India. And we have also faced a demand from global clients that said we are looking for EPR solutions, not only in Europe or in other parts of the world, but also we would like to have those solutions to be provided in India. So this combination of reasons made us or led to the decision to invest in India, and we started this journey in 2021, and we have not regretted this decision, and we are very happy to be active now as a company in India. What we are providing is services around the topics of plastic waste, e-waste, and also waste batteries, EPR solutions in India. And you heard from the previous speakers also Mr. Palikar about the importance of EPR, extended producer responsibility. And this is also what we are doing in other parts of the world. So this Indian company is actually a joint venture between two German companies. One is the Landbell Group, headquartered in Mainz. They are a global leader of providing EPR compliance services for the three mentioned waste types, and also Black Forest Solutions, the company that I'm representing. We are offering global waste management services, and now as a joint venture together with Landbell in India. You see here the overview about our team. So we are three directors. Here the local managing director, Mr. Saurabh Shah, he's based in Mumbai in our office, and you can see that there is some experience behind our yet small team, and we are tackling the following solutions. So it's EPR, as mentioned, extended producer responsibility. And when you think about the market size, so in Germany we have about 82 million people, and we are collecting as a German government around 1.8 billion euros just from EPR for plastic packaging. So you can imagine the market volume in India after a few years. So we're speaking about a few billion euro market size, and the importance for the environment and for setting up recycling infrastructure is very significant for EPR. We are also advising on the recyclability of packaging. So we are giving advice to the industry how to improve the recyclability of their packaging. And we do advisory for waste management and also customized take-back solutions. How it works, the extended producer responsibility process in India, you see in this chart. It might be a bit confusing when you are not from that field, but what it says is there is one central EPR portal that is operated by the Central Pollution Control Board in India, CPCB, and all the information of the process are fed into this EPR portal from, for example, the cement industry, or from the PBOs, that's the producers, importers, and brand owners, and all the stakeholders you see here have to provide the information to one central portal operated by the CPCB. And just recently, this portal has also been installed and improved, and it's very much possible now to track and monitor the different certificates that are handled in the EPR system in India. So a big improvement in the last few even months, I would say. And this is a good environment for us as two German companies being active in India and offering EPR services. Also, there's a very frequent update of rules and regulations in India. Just recently, new e-waste rules in 2022 The same applies for rules for EPR for plastic for plastic packaging. So there's a very frequent improvement, and on a very professional level in India, it's announced at the Gazette of India normally, and then we are adjusting and adapting our services according to the latest legal regulations in India. The duties of the producers are very similar to what we see in Europe. So the collection and channelization of e-waste generated from the end-of-life products as per the stated targets, and to ensure an appropriate treatment and disposal methods. This also includes, for example, hazardous materials and hazardous waste. Also to maintain records and compliance as per the rules, and to conduct awareness programs for e-waste minimization and recycling. And we have answers for all those duties. So our service that we are offering in the Indian market is to provide a legal compliance to the producers. Here you see an overview about the different battery waste management rules, how they apply, how the producer is defined, and the duties of the producer. It's similar for the batteries as what we just heard for the e-waste producer, and it's very well defined in the Indian law. You see the overview here for e-waste and waste batteries. Here, obviously, you don't have the cement industries as for the EPR for plastic packaging, but a similar concept. It all goes to the Central Pollution Control Board EPR portal, and we are providing the service to the producers to be legal compliant with their regulations or their obligations in India. And we are covering the entire complete documentation from the source, loading, lorry, weighbridge, the quantities, the qualities of different waste fractions that are being collected. This is part of our services that we are offering to the local producers, but also importers and brand owners in India. They are all obliged to fulfill their EPR duties. We are also in the intersection between the household consumers, private and public offices, corporate consumers, industrial houses. So we are providing, so the solutions for the interface. This is just between the different stakeholders. We are into innovative awareness programs. For example, we are working with app-based incentive programs for collection and deposition of e-waste. We do the same for plastic packaging. Some samples. We work very closely with GIZ India together, where we've done an implementation of technological solutions for EPR, especially in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. This is still an ongoing project. You see a few pictures here. And we are using our best practice experience of EPR that we have since more than 30 years now in Europe, but of course we have to adapt and to adjust this to the very specific local Indian context. What we are doing, then also we are providing EPR training. We have developed a training toolkit together with GIZ India, and we have done workshops and trainings across India with different stakeholders involved. We have also developed take-back schemes for an e-commerce major in India. So software plays a major role in EPR and in waste management, and it's of course an increasing trend, and it also involves artificial intelligence and more the interaction between the producers of waste, the collectors, the treatment facilities, and the governments and the authorities that are monitoring the entire chain. And as mentioned, also we do packaging analysis, take-back solutions. Here's one example that we have done for a coffee brand in India, where we advise on how packaging can be designed in a more sustainable manner. Digital DRS, that's a deposit return scheme that we are doing for tourist locations. This is another project that we have just recently been awarded together with our partner Z-Loop. They are providing an app that where anyone who brings back waste or bottles or beverage containers, packaging to a disposal point gets an incentive, gets a token or any other sort of incentive, and this helps to increase the recycling rate and the collection rate for certain waste streams. But as I mentioned before, in my humble opinion about India, I think we are still at a very early stage. We still face situations like Ghazipur, for example, in Delhi, and we still face a situation where landfill is dominant in India. It's not that we have already high recycling rates. We still need a massive investment into recycling infrastructure. And that's why I can only encourage also German companies to invest in India, to be on the ground. We have not regretted our decision, and we will continue to grow and yeah, do also further investments into the market. Here, maybe a last slide. This is an example of our Zilo project with the incentives. We are doing this currently in Goa and in Agra. Again, here, packaging analysis. It's a bit of repetition now. I think you got the main message from Lampe Green Forest Solutions. And again, I think we are at an early stage in India, but it's a very promising market. And when there's any questions of how to set up a business in the field of waste management, let me know. You have my contact details, I hope, and looking forward to your questions and further exchange. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fish, for sharing this really inspiring case study and for also sharing some encouraging words with our participants and the audience here. Now, our last speaker for today is Mr. DC Shekhar, who will share his experience from a startup perspective, also very interesting. Over to you, Mr. Shekhar. As far as I understand, you will be showing a video.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you, MIIM, for
now where I think the sound might not be working, but rest assured.
Yeah, can you hear me, Maya?
Yes, yes.
Thank you for inviting me. And in the next 15 minutes, I'd like to show you a 3-minute video and talk about our efforts, where we succeeded, our experience, some takeaways, hopefully. Now, I'm a person who comes from the marine background. I was captain of oil tankers earlier. So I understand the waves, the currents, the seas, rivers, I understand very well. So that's where we always get into to find solutions. It takes me back to 2014, where I overheard a municipal engineer telling his colleague that, look, when the fugitive plastic, it falls on the roadside, you can do something, you can pick it up, dispose it. But in the first train, if it reaches the nearest drain or a stream, then it goes out of control. I was surprised because, in my opinion, once it enters a drain or it enters a stream, then I know exactly what to do about it. In fact, it goes into a unidirectional movement. It transports the trash free of cost to where you would like to collect it. It makes it convenient in my understanding. So we decided we need to get into this. And that was a few years ago. Let me show you a video that kind of shows where we are today. And I'll come back. Thanks. Somebody has said 8 million tons of plastics enter the ocean every year. I don't know who said that. I'm still trying to find out, because there is very little primary data points to extrapolate and come to that figure. But we don't have a better figure, and that's what has been quoted by everyone for so many years. But we all agree that the problem is compounding. Every ton of plastic that goes through the rivers into the ocean breaks up into microplastics, goes down the water column. As per today's technology, it's a near impossible task to take it out. The plastics are there from Mariana Trench to the poles and the Himalayas. We hear about that all the time. So at one point of time, we decided we need to do something. We do our best, whatever we could. And you saw the video. This is in 8 cities. And every year, a couple of thousand tons of plastics is arrested, stopped from going into the ocean. I believe a good technology leads to a good revenue model, and a good revenue model leads to capacity building. So somewhere along the line, we took it upon us, saying that people like me and many of you, we need to develop technology. It's not the government's business to develop technology. It's our business to give them the options. And that's what we did. When we set out to create this, I'd like to share with you our thought process. The river has a lot of energy in it. It's a moving mass of water. And there is no reason, right at the beginning, we decided there's no reason we are going to put a drop of fossil fuel to run anything. So we stopped with this passive device. And it doesn't look very great, but it does the job wonderfully. Its hydrodynamics is excellent. It stops the trash and plastics. And because of the angle of the barrier, it comes to the river bank. And today, from the river bank, we pick up this plastics and trash with land-based gear. The JCBs and the conveyors are sitting on the land adjacent to the water, and they pick up and put it in trucks and take it away. That makes it quite a low cost operation on a per ton basis. We also knew that we had to make it very rugged, because the rivers, I understand the forces of the rivers. In fact, there's a lot of oil spill response companies who bring in the fabric barriers, and perhaps they missed it. Drag forces is a very important element to cater for in these kind of structures that you put in the river. When the water flows, there's a huge amount of force, the same force that helps you run a turbine or do something useful, the same river flow will come and break it all up, or it will escape. So right at the beginning, we took the approach of a mesh to let the water flow past and stop only the trash. And we have stuck to that all these years. It is paying us dividends. If anyone says cost does not matter, I'm surprised. Cost does matter, according to me. To be scalable, you have to have a realistic cost. And the realistic cost is not only a financial cost, it's also an environmental cost. What amount of fuel or what amount of pollution you're causing to remove some plastics, it matters. You have to justify it. And that's one reason we have been working on wave energy converters. We have tested our model a couple of years back, and we have designed, not yet prototyped, a wave-powered boat. So this is something we hope to use to haul the sieve through the water, because putting a sieve in the water and hauling it is the easier part of the job. When you step out into the ocean, it's a different challenge. You do not have currents, mind you. Not most places in the ocean do not have currents. They have waves. Waves are a different challenge. Currents are a different challenge. So the key is to have a relative speed through the water so that you can sieve effectively, and the sieve has to be something that is suitable for the job. It's not very difficult to think about it, but to use renewables to move the sieve through the water is a smart thing to do. And we hope in about a year's time, with our wave energy harvester and use of wind power, that has been underutilized. I still am surprised when people on a boat, they use solar, because solar, according to me, is not a very space efficient. If you have choices, you use the waves. In a river, you use the currents. They represent a lot of energy. Why would I use solar on a restricted area like the deck of a boat? But yes, people have different approaches to solve the same problem. Now, what is the current capability of mankind is you cannot even remove the surface trash and plastics in the ocean with a scalable model. I'm not saying you take two fuel guzzling tugs. No, that's not my answer. That's probably a stepping stone to go to the next level. And you have to have renewable powered devices to skim the ocean surface. And that's not the end of it. You have to take it to a place where you can recycle. With the amount of debate I hear about recycling plastics on the mainland, I wonder how you would like to do the same thing in a remote island in the middle of the ocean, just to keep the distances less. Distances at sea are quite large. It takes a week on an average from the center of any ocean, week to 10 days, to come to the coast. So you have to allow for those kind of costs when you're thinking of something scalable. We have our installations in a river, where on an average day, we pick up roughly 10 tons of unsegregated trash. Out of that, we estimate about 10% may be plastics. We do not get into the processing of this waste that we remove, because that's a totally big science altogether, how you dispose. I've been listening to the debates, and I'm sure there's a lot of knowledge. We would not like to go into all those areas and become experts in all those areas. So we have restricted our profile to arresting the plastics and trash very cost effectively, getting it out of the water. Currently, the conveyors and the JCBs that we use, they are running on electrical power or diesel. But very soon, we will be changing that to hydraulics and powered by turbines in the rivers wherever the flow and the depth allows us. So that will be running 24/7. As such, we are able to bring it to the river bank using the flow of the water and using turbines. If these conveyors are moving 24/7 very slowly, whatever comes there will get picked up and thrown on the adjacent river bank so that it can be taken away. Now, something about our future plans I'd like to share with you. Plastics, whoever is estimating the quantity of plastics that is going into the rivers, they have a tough job. Plastics don't reflect very well in the water. It doesn't reflect very well in a camera. And for that reason, we are looking at various spectrums of light where it will reflect best, so that we can train an artificial intelligence model to start picking up plastics and keep at it until it gets its own good logic, so that we can quantify the amount of plastics going past a particular place. We are at it. That is one challenge. But yes, we have one of the best training data anywhere in the world, with almost 30 odd installations like this, where we are able to put our camera and pick up the data. The second part of this is we are planning to correlate the profile of the trash and plastic that's collected with the livelihood of the people on the riverbank, how far from the riverbank they stay, and why it happens, whatever happens, so that next time we see a river, we are able to go back to our model and predict that this is the amount and this is the profile of the trash that you might collect, most likely collect. That will help the planning better. During the course of this, we also realized that in the rivers, we have a lot of challenges. Many of the city rivers where this trash problem is predominant, they are quite shallow. Over the years, they are silted and they are very wide. So mechanical work is a challenge. So we are dealing with these challenges. So in between, we have also developed a silt trap, a passive device that traps the silt and you remove it mechanically. Of course, that mechanical removal needs a little bit of fuel, but the trapping of the silt doesn't require fuel. It is happening simply by a passive hydrodynamics. You can say that. We are soon taking up cleaning, arresting rather, the plastics going into the sea over an entire coast. It will be a new model for the world where an entire coast, all the streams, rivers draining into the sea will stop this plastics, and the state government will help us by taking it all away and disposing it. The funding model is also reasonably new. It will be funded by CSR and plastic credits. Hopefully, we have agents who are into plastic credits who have assured us that there's a lot of possibilities there. So that will help us execute this project. In terms of plastic credit, we are very happy. It seems to be a very sane model, although of course I've read a lot about the arguments against it, saying that it rewards pollution and things like that. But my personal feeling is some part of the world has a lot of plastics and trash going into the sea, and some other part of the world would like to become plastic neutral. Typically beverage companies or whoever is in this kind of line of business, they like to be plastic neutral. So the money is going to the right place where the credit is being generated at a low cost until that's a good revenue model to remove those trash and plastics. It's like the newspaper in India, it doesn't get littered because there is a buyer for that. So similarly, once this plastic credit business gets active, I'm sure that place will benefit and the plastic credit buyers will look for another place until we really solve the problem. That kind of brings me to the end of my talk. I hope I've not taken up too much time. And later on, whenever you would like to, I'm available for any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shekhar. That was very interesting and very inspiring. And I know we are well over time, which is absolutely not your fault. The thing is, should we, because we did get a couple of questions, so what I suggest is that maybe we answer at least one or two questions. If everyone could just switch on their camera for the Q&A, all of our expert speakers, and I would then maybe ask one or two questions. Of course, if people have to leave, they will leave anyway, which is absolutely fine, but at least we can take this up a little. So I would just request, I think Mr. Patel's camera's not working anyway. Mr. Parlikar, if you're still here. Oh, I think our speakers are asleep. I hope not. Aniket, are you still there? Yes. Hi. Oh, we can't hear you. Can you just say something again, Aniket? Okay, I can't. The audio's not working. Maybe if you just disconnect your headphones, because I think the first question, in fact, I start asking it. I think it would be mostly addressed to you. The first question we have received is, when will India recognize the H2 produced from municipal solid waste as renewable? Is that a question that you would take up?
Sure. So I believe there's already a facility that's converting municipal solid waste into green hydrogen in Pune. I believe it's just been deployed. I think maybe end of last year, early this year. So based on projects like this is conducted by the Pune Municipal Corporation. So since it's already underway, I think other states in India will also be picking it up soon. And I think this will be scaled up going forward.
Cool, thank you. That's very interesting. I'm actually based in Pune and I didn't know that. So maybe we have time for another last question, if that's okay. Let's see if we can answer that one. So someone asked, the main hurdle for plastic recyclers is the higher prices compared to virgin plastics. Is there policy in India available to support recyclers or restrict the use of new plastics to some extent where possible?
Yeah, I guess if no one else is bringing this up, I believe, yeah, there are policies in place to address this. I mean, I believe India has already banned single-use plastics, and we're looking at alternatives such as jute and biodegradable materials to use in those scenarios. So those plastic waste management rules are already in place, and we are trying to enforce them throughout the country.
Okay, perfect. I hope we have managed to answer some of these questions. One more question was addressed to Mr. Frisch, but I think he already had to leave as he was traveling. So of course I'll forward that question. And yeah, let me close this webinar. Thank you for joining us for this webinar today. And we hope, of course, that you found it informative and engaging. And of course, we understand that your time is valuable and we really appreciate you choosing to spend it with us, even now that we're a little beyond time. If you have any further questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out to either the MIIM program or our expert speakers that we had on board today. We would be very happy to continue the conversation and provide any additional information you may need. And I would also like to, of course, address a special thanks to our speakers, Mr. Ganesham Aniket, Mr. Patel, Mr. Parlikar, Mr. Frisch, and Mr. Shekhar, as well as the Embassy of India and Rödl & Partner for the support. Thank you, dear attendees, for your patient listening, and we really look forward to connecting with you soon. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.